The Zelda series is really known for its unique enemies found in all sorts of games, like Keese, Cuccoses, Bokoblins, Moblins, Piranha Plants. If you have played Zelda games and you've never heard of any of these Zelda enemies, we might be off to a bad start. Well, maybe we are, because we're gonna chuck all the baby, easy, dumb Zelda enemies out of the window, and we're left with uncommon Zelda enemies. These are enemies that have a limited number of appearances in their Zelda game. Now, I'm covering 11 Zelda games out of the 21 total in this list, but if you want the other half of the Zelda games in this list, go over to Cuccoses' channel. He will be sharing the other half of Zelda games starting at Zelda 1. We will also each share a rare enemy from Echoes of Wisdom. So without further ado, let's start at Four Sword Adventures.
The rarest enemy in the least sold Zelda ever, Four Sword Adventures, comes from an actual item, this item being the Force Gems. The enemy I'm talking about here is a variation of mimics, enemies that usually possess items like chests or something like that. If Link goes to grab a Force Gem, there is a chance that a mimic will come out and begin fighting Link. If not killed in time, they will self-destruct, stealing your Force Gem and destroying it with them.
Minish Cap is one of the best 2D Zelda games, in my opinion. This game has a few weird enemies that people probably have no idea about, but the most uncommon enemy in this Zelda game is the Wizrobe. It only has 5 instances of it appearing, 2 at the Fortress of Winds, and 3 at Dark Hyrule Castle.
For the realistic Zelda, Twilight Princess, which we're only using the OG GameCube and re-release for, so no cave ordeals or any additional enemy options because of the HD remaster, the rarest enemy in this game is actually the same as the game's sort of prequel in Ocarina of Time, being Dark Nuts, as they're just slightly more common than in Ocarina of Time, there being 5 of them, appearing in the Temple of Time and Hyrule Castle.
Now, I haven't played this game before, unfortunately, but I have played Spirit Tracks. These two games have pretty similar enemies, but surprisingly, the most uncommon enemy in this game is the Stalfos Warrior, and they appear in Muto's Temple.
In Spirit Tracks, the game about Cuccoses that has one of the best and most underrated narratives in all video games ever, the rarest enemy is the Wizrobe. These guys only appear in a few select areas, with their population across the new land of Hyrule only being around 5. They appear in some random dungeons I honestly could not find any info on, and also the Tower of Spirits.
Alright, now we're entering more recent games. Now there is probably one enemy in this game that you just don't remember, and that is the Ampulus Egg. Or maybe you do remember it for the amount of times you got shocked while trying to do this puzzle. Anyways, my point is that these guys are only found in one location, in one part of that location, in a whole different time. Yeah.
In A Link Between Worlds, the rarest enemy is still one that you could find very easily in the game, that being the River Zora. Though they stop attacking you eventually after a certain point in the questline, they only appear in a few big rivers or lakes throughout the game anyway. If I had to pick an exact number of these guys, I'd probably say either 4 or 6.
This game shares most of its enemies with Link Between Worlds, and was really hard to find an uncommon enemy because no one played this game. But besides that, I would have to say that the most uncommon enemy in Triforce Heroes would have to be the Ki-Po Bandit. These guys are very uncommon because they are only found in the Palace Noir. At least that's what the Zelda Wiki says.
Getting to the open-air Zelda games, in Breath of the Wild with so many potential enemies to choose from, the rarest enemy are Molduga, with there being 4 scattered across Gerudo Desert.
Okay, I've played Tears of the Kingdom way too much, but there are 2 enemies tied for rarest. I'm not going to count many bosses from the main story, because those guys you only kill once and never again. The 2 enemies were Moldugas and the King Gleeok. But since Breath of the Wild's rarest enemy were Moldugas, for this game, King Gleeoks are the rarest, and the hardest to get to. Now, I haven't beaten this game yet, so I can't say specifically, but I think I have an idea of which one is the most uncommon, and that would be the Gibdo Level 2, or the Lynel. There is only one Lynel in the game, and for good reason, because they are very hard to fight, and it does a lot of damage. Gibdo Level 2s are only found in the Cryptic Cave in the Gerudo Desert, however, and they're just not really used that much, I feel like. Well, now that you watched my video, if you want to know the other half of most uncommon Zelda enemies, go over to Cuccoses' channel. He will be covering everything from Zelda 1 all the way to Wind Waker. I want to thank Cuccoses for collabing with me, and I want to thank you for watching.